Hello, and welcome back to the Forgive Yourself podcast. My name is Brenda Reese, and I am your host. Today's guest is someone who truly embodies transformation. Edith B. Kiss is a holistic mentor, success habit coach, and international speaker whose journey is as inspiring as her message. After 15 years as a petroleum engineer, Edith shifted from the logical world of oil and data to the heart-centered world of healing and human potential. She's a #1 best-selling author and humanitarian award winner. And she now helps women, especially those in their 40s to 60s, move from emotional pain, grief, or difficult relationships into peace and clarity. In her book, The Gap Filler Success, Edith shares how to bridge the space between where you are and where you want to be, combining practical action with spiritual alignment. In this conversation, we're going to talk about trauma and forgiveness, how our triggers point to what still needs healing, and we're going to go over her 5 steps that she talks about in her book, and especially around mindfulness, how that becomes the bridge between pain and peace. You're going to love her calm strength and the way she makes healing feel both possible and practical. I'm excited to have you on the show, Edith.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Brenda, for having me. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely. And your book is amazing. And I love how you go from like petroleum to purpose. That's what we'll call it. How, that's a long time in the petroleum career. And then moving to the healing, to what you do today. Can you tell us a little bit about that story and kind of what moment made you realize that, oh, it's time to change?
Yeah, so the spirituality was already there, and my learning healing practices during I was a petroleum engineer. It started back in my 20s when I had panic attacks, and I was still studying at the university, and I was traveling, and it's occurred in a foreign country, and basically I was surprised. I didn't know what was happening with me, and then to me, and then when I came back, then I found out what's the issue. Kind of found out. I still didn't know what was it, and then how to mitigate it, what to do with it. So I was just trying to manage it with St. John's wort and then with exercise and then maybe taking some vitamins. I didn't want to take medications. And I was introduced to Reiki healing. So already back then I started to get Reiki sessions, and then I loved it. I loved the connection with the source, so I started to learn it, level 1, level 2. So basically when I started the petroleum engineering career, I already had this sanctuary or habit or hobby, at the side. Yeah. So basically, whenever I had a time, a free weekend or once in a month, I always went to a little retreat, or I went to a family constellation therapy with my Reiki master. So I was always going back to it, like feeling better. If I had some issues in my relationship or in my family or in my health, something happened, I always went back there, for some guidance, for some coaching, or for some healing. And that's was parallel. So my spiritual practices and learnings, and it's already back then more than 20 years now, like back in those days. And then I was always just managing my issues. As I was a petroleum engineer, I loved that industry. That was my first passion, basically. And then I enjoyed working in that. I enjoyed first working with numbers and softwares, and I don't know, and also the people. I actually enjoyed working with men. It's a male-dominated environment. Yeah. Because I was very straight-minded. I was very a strategic thinker, and then that's kind of atmosphere. I really like that. And but as I was, I started to have children. Then I started to feel guilty that I don't have enough time with them because I'm in a 9 to 5. And then I started to feel that urge more and more as I was also losing health. Like I was still having panic attacks, and I was started to gain weight more and more because of the sitting, in the office, because of not feeling guilty after the office to going to the gym, because I was like, I need to be at home with my kids. I don't want to spend another hour without them, because I really felt like I don't have enough time to get to know them or spend time with them. It was just like dinner, bath, homework and sleep, like literally. And then at the weekend, I felt tired. I felt exhausted. I couldn't enjoy even family time because of the stress of the workplace, all of these things. So
Yeah.
eventually, I just quit my job, like that. And then I actually was telling to my husband, let's move to New Zealand. So that's when we packed up everything. We went through the immigration process though. So we spent time, like 10 months time to go through the immigration process. And they
Wow.
told us that, oh, you don't have enough numbers, the points to get the residency. But if you go there and get a job, then we can give you the residency. So we went there with 4 suitcases with the 2 kids, we packed up, we left everything behind. And then we just went there. And then we were there for 7 months. But this was one of our best time because, we could focus on the children while we were, job searching. It was a beautiful weather, beautiful place. It was really great. And that was also the time when I went there, I was already a Reiki master. I did the exam before I left. So when I was there, I was using the Reiki master science on me, healings. And at the end, like around the 6 months, I started to feel really strange. And then I started to recognize that I can't eat certain food. And that's when changed my weight started to drop. I started to lose weight. And then when we moved back, because we couldn't stay, we couldn't find proper job. It was like a
Oh.
catch-22. The workplace said, oh, you don't have a visa. And then we said, but if you go give us a job offer, we will have a visa, but you don't have a visa, So that was like a
Oh.
catch-22. And then we had to come back. And then first it was a bit of shock, it was really shocking. But then I got a contractor position at the same company where I used to work. And it was like a magical because I had to work less and in my time and getting more money. So it is really great. And then doing actually the part of the job which I loved. So I really loved that time. And then I also started to lose weight. So within like 10 months, I dropped like 20 kilos, which is like 40 pounds. So I
Wow.
went from size L to size S. So that whole year was like amazing for me, like, getting more money and then spending more time with my children and also losing lots of weight. So it was like a great blessing. And then I always say that in the manifestation that if you take yourself out of life, you take like a sabbatical, then
Yeah.
everything you wished for is like flooding in later. It's like that's how I
Wow.
felt. That's how I felt after that. And then what happened is that that was a time when I was more flexible. So I was invited to this event, to this karma yoga healing event. And I wasn't searching at time to any new modalities. I thought what I experiencing or what I have, I already maybe gained what I needed. I thought my panic attack is probably staying with me. I don't know what I thought. I was
Oh.
just not, I was so happy about the current situation that I wasn't searching any new modalities. So, but I was invited there and I was flabbergasted after the first meditation, like the samadhi meditation was like, wow, this is really powerful. And then the guru started to talk about mindfulness. And then it was just so resonated with me, with my whole ideas about the world and about life. And I just felt really at home there. And
Yeah.
then I also had the privilege to translate the guru with clients because it was in Hungary at back then. So I helped him to get sessions with Hungarian clients and I was translating back and forth the healing session. And it was like an honor, to be there on a private session with him, seeing how he heals. I really love that. And I really fall in love with that process. And I learned it as well. I became a practitioner. I started to heal myself. And then I realized that certain patterns, certain experiences or like health issues like started to stop, like through the healing process. And
Oh.
I was really, really happy. And then I felt, wow, this thing, I need to show this to other people. So at the same time, I was also called to move to London. And I was actually at the time, like I wanted to move into healing, leaving the petroleum industry behind. And also my husband didn't agree with that. And then my family, didn't agree. So it was like I had to break out from the whole situation. So basically I left my relationship. I packed up my kids and moved to London. And I established my healing business here, basically. And also, I was still an engineer for a year because it was a contracting position, so I could do it online. But I was already started to have clients, working with clients, and still continuing my karma healing journey with the guru, like going on retreats to India and doing other courses for ancestral healing and manifestation courses with him. So basically, for like another like till 2020, I was still under his teachings, while I was already having clients. So that's how is my transformation happened.
Oh my goodness, there's so much there. So you left Hungary and you moved to London.
Yeah.
So you left your relationship.
Yeah, that was back in 2018. Yeah.
Okay. And what was drawing you to London?
It's a very interesting story as well. So just after the first Samadhi meditation, just the first weekend course where I was there, I was traveling to London for an event, for like a social media event. And
Okay.
I was traveling and I was sitting in the taxi from the airport to the hotel, and suddenly I started to cry. And then a word came to me which said home. And I was like, why am I crying? I'm not a crybaby. And what does this mean, home? I don't like this city. So actually, I had a negative feelings about this city. I used to go to London for like trainings as a petroleum engineer. I was going there for trainings, and I always felt that it's very crowded. I always felt that it's a bit dark. I've always felt that it's outdated. Some stuff, like I always had something. And then I was like, yeah, it's I wouldn't move here. And when this came down, I was very questioning, adopting it, like what is this thing? And then some weeks and months later, I started to see more synchronicities and more breadcrumbs from the universe, which was more calling me. So as it was more amplified, then I was like, okay, I have to move there. So I was like traveling back and forth, finding an apartment and getting into that vibe, and then eventually I set the date, and we actually moved exactly that date.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing. So I love synchronicities and breadcrumbs. And was it hard for you to recognize them at first, or did it kind of make sense to you because you
Oh,
were
I mean, they
already
were
doing?
they were strong shouting at me. So it was like I think because of the activation I went through in the first meditation, the samadhi, like when we activate the pineal gland and you open your third eye, like bang. So even though,
Yeah.
I was under Reiki healing and being a Reiki master for, decades, I mean, like doing all of the spiritual practices, it looks like my pineal gland wasn't still activated. My third eye wasn't still open
Oh
fully.
yeah.
And through this meditation, it happened so powerfully that the synchronicities and breadcrumbs, like you could not see them, like they were so strong.
Oh, I love that. Now, how can we talk about, because so many people struggle with anxiety attacks or panic attacks, and you were saying you just thought you were going to have to live with yours. So when you were going through the process of what with the what do you want to call him, the teacher, mentor, with him, and you were translating, and you were helping him with the healings, and you were going through your own healings, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah.
Did that get healed through this process, or
Yeah.
what
So,
happened with those?
yeah. So I was, how can I say this? So in the first 2 years, I spent many times healing myself as well, not just the clients at the
Yes.
same time parallel, because obviously we have so many things to heal from,
Mhm.
even not this lifetime, but
Yeah.
past lives. I happen to
Yes.
go back into past life memories to heal PTSD from past lives, right? And then
Great.
a lot of them, yeah. And then that's why I've seen my past life memories, that's why I've seen who I've been before. And then through this source memory healing process, and then I was working on my healing, but there was always, like, many times I had to heal when I had like certain issues in my body, certain illnesses. Sometimes I had to heal my conditions, like where I am in the state. So basically, when you heal, you're focusing on your triggers. What is triggering you? What
Yes,
is
yeah.
causing you anxiety? Why you feeling disappointed? Why you feeling, sad or angry, or all of these things? And then that's what I was always picking on and started to work with. But eventually, with the panic attacks is really interesting, because I believe I did healing several times when it came up, but I never really did it on the panic attacks. I was always, there is something else besides when
Okay.
I had those things going on, like a flu or like an other issue or something else was going on in my life. And then that was when I was mostly focusing on when I was healing. And
Yeah.
what I realized in this couple of years, healing myself and others, that it has to be like really body, mind, and soul. So it's not just enough to do the spiritual healing, what we do, and not just enough to be mindful about having the informations, knowing the consequences of your actions, and basically being in a positive thoughts, but also taking care of your body. So it's really important what you eat, what supplements you take,
Mm.
what vitamins you take, because I realized that when I was vegan and I had iron deficiency, my anxiety or my panic attacks were amplified. And then also I realized the
Oh.
same with my clients. Like they came to me with extreme panic attacks and it's realized that they are actually vegetarian and they were lacking in iron like crazy. And so that kind of thing also brought me into the, like, I know I see it in a bigger picture, like what else needs to be done, and then for many years now I am free of panic attacks and everything. Like I'm really healthy in like many years now because I put all of this together. And that's why I created my 30 days incubator, to make sure that we take care of the body, mind, and spirit for sure. Like, and then I'm talking about spirit is not just you, but the ancestral healing as well, the soul family healing as well, the karma healing as well. And the mind is basically the mindset, is really important, the mindfulness for your healing. Because I had also clients for panic attacks, and when we healed her panic attacks, she was telling me that she wakes up in the morning and she's still singing, what if it comes back? She wakes
Yes.
up, she wakes up with a good mood. She wakes up with,
Yeah.
with feeling lighter and more liberated, but she still had that little thing like, what if it comes back? So then we had to work on the mindset and the subconscious reprogramming to understand that I am safe, I am healthy, I am strong, and I am protected, and all of these things. And
Yeah.
then I said to her, just put sticky notes around your bed. When you wake up, you read those in the morning, and you know that you are in the power. You are in control, basically. So these
Oh,
are
yeah.
mindfulness. I also suggest to people to understand that they are in control, they are in power, and very important to understand their body, having all the information like why they having certain sensations. Because my panic attacks were many times originated from my hypochondria, hypochondria, like when
Yeah.
I'm having certain sensations, I'm like, oh, I'm dying, or something is happening to me, and
Right.
then when you know your body, when you have the information like why you have certain sensations, then you understand like that's not real, or that's just this and that, or I can
Yeah.
fix this easily, or I just drink some water, or I just go to sleep, or there are sometimes easy fix into those things, and why you making
Yeah.
an elephant from the ant, basically. And
Yeah.
I know that how terrible it is, so I don't want to like minimize the panic attacks. Obviously, I'm just saying that if you go through all of this process, and then for the healing and for the diet and everything, then it's gonna be much easier to use the mindfulness at the end.
Oh, I love that. I like that you're saying use the mindfulness at the end. That awareness comes first is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing you say, because and
And
I
the
love that you're
healing. Yeah, and the healing, it needs to happen, the healing, because just mindfulness itself, it
yeah.
won't stop the triggers. If you are
Yeah.
just let's say you are very mindful, and then you are like, instead of getting angry, or instead of getting disappointed, you are just like, oh, I'm cool, you're always mindful, you're always cool. But the trigger is gonna still hit you, because there is still some unresolved traumas which you haven't released. So you
Mhm.
can be very powerful, strong, and resilient, but eventually might those things, like your life won't be as peaceful as you have done the healing from the roots.
Oh, yeah, and I love how you're talking about using your triggers to identify or heal the trauma,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. So what are some of the triggers that you found for you? Was it body sensations? Was it
It could be
Oh,
both. So when I start working with my clients, I always ask them, do you have any health issues, like physical health issues? Because that's what we need to work on first. Because in the
okay.
incubator, they meet with me 4 times, basically. So it's 4 sessions in there. So the
Okay.
first session, I always say, okay, let's work on your physical health, because I think that's most urgent, because your PTSD already manifested into a health issue, basically. So then we need to work on that first because that's the most serious. So then
Yes.
we pick that. And then when we did the session, and then a week later, I always say, okay, what is the other thing triggering you? And maybe it's their relationship with their siblings, or maybe it's their relationship with their teenage kids, or maybe it's, a relationship with their parents. That's the second one, maybe. And then the third one could be their financial situations, or the third one could be like career issues, like how the coworkers treating them, or how they feel with
Oh,
coworkers, like, or anger issues, or so on and so forth. So that's how we go through the thing. And then sometimes after the three very main things, sometimes for the fourth, I just ask them, like, in this week, what bothered you the most, or what triggered you
mm,
this week? And then they are like, I still can't sleep because this and this happened, or I still feel guilty about this and this. And I was like, okay, let's work on that then. And what happens with source memory healing is, yes, you're releasing the negative emotions from past memories. It can be many. Like last time I had the client, we had like 8 memories. We had to release 8 memories for her
oh, wow.
heart disease, but it was a very a dangerous heart situation for her, that she already were like out of her body, and then now she has a pacemaker. So basically we had to do like 8 memories to release all of the 8 memories. And then it always has to happen every release with forgiveness, going back to your podcast name. So
Yeah.
every time we need to forgive to ourselves and to the others, obviously, to close that down and let it go. And then
Yeah.
when we go through these memories and we release them, and then eventually we rewrite it in the Akashic records, then your future is going to change. Is you already feel lighter and more liberated, and you are more in a peaceful mindset, but also the whole karma vortex is going to conspire for your positive outcome. So it's like attracting to you solutions. And this within hours or days, you're going to receive the solutions through people, or through, like through your ideas, like you downloading
Yeah.
something, or maybe you see it somewhere. Somehow it's going to appear in your reality, the solution to your issue.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I love this. Now, when you mentioned forgiveness, I want to say you said that, it has to be done, right? Forgiveness has to be done to release and heal. But it doesn't mean we trust the same person again, but that we
No,
let
no,
go and become
absolutely.
smarter next time. I love
Yeah.
that. So how did that look in your own life, and how did it shape like what you do today? Do you include it, and how did forgiveness help you in your personal growth?
It's the same. I mean, I understand that everybody's one with the divine, and we are one in the oneness. We are together. And basically, what is happening when someone hurts you, I always explain that only 5% of the time they working from their conscious mind, and they are like 45% time is they are affected by the subconscious, and 50% time is the superconscious, which means when they hurt you or they do something against you, it's either from their belief system, society, programming, environment, or the superconscious, which means it's your own karma or ancestral karma, and you have to go through this. So basically, you can't really point your finger on one person or people who done to you something. It's a bigger picture. It's like a bigger plan, I would say. We are like little
Mm.
puppets. And then it's like you can't really say like he did it, or it's because of that person. No, it's many things. And that's how I work it through as well, that if something is, for example, I want to achieve something, and then it feels like some people is crossing my ideas, or crossing my
Yes.
my path, something happens, and then I'm like, okay, then probably I shouldn't do this, or maybe it's a protection. Sometimes when you can't achieve certain things, maybe universe protecting you or guiding you to go to another direction. So I kind of trust that process, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be cool. I'm not gonna, like, especially if it happens several times in the same situation. Like there is one and then a second one, and then it's always like
Yeah.
they kind of don't let you to do that thing. It happened to me, like I wanted to go to Dubai like 3 times, and then I never got there. It's like universe don't want me to go to Dubai. It was hilarious. Yeah, it once I even got COVID, and I got so sick I had to cancel my flight ticket, everything. I couldn't get there. And then there was other 2 occasions I didn't go. So it was like really funny. I was like, okay, universe, I'm not going there. So that's how I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it sounds to me like it's part of your process too, because I want to get to that. It sounds like, is forgiveness included into your process as you are
Yeah,
healing? Because
absolutely.
it
Like
has to
in
be.
yeah, in every healing that we do and in every memory, we need to go into the forgiveness. So I can't move forward with the memory and with the release if they don't
Mhm.
forgive. So that's
Yeah.
why I need to explain them always this story about the 5%, 45, and 50. And then
Yeah.
eventually they say like, okay, I can forgive. But before that, they are like, I can't because he did this, he did that. And I'm like, but yeah.
And we always learn from it too. For me, I think the forgiveness process, for me, I know the forgiveness process is about looking at the mirror of
Mm,
what other people are showing us that's within me, right? Like you were talking, the
yeah.
superconscious or the subconscious is things that we don't see necessarily can be, we can see it like a trigger through someone else. We can actually see that. So I think that that's super valuable. I'm so glad that you include that because we can't move forward without that. And which kind of takes me to to your book. So how did you come up with the gap filler six? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, that's a really fascinating title. And it's like, yeah, what is the gap and how does somebody start to fill their own gap?
Yeah, so the gap filler success, that's the title. It's simple steps to reach your goals. And I don't know, it was just one day I felt like I am a gap filler when I'm about reaching my goals. So probably I came up with this probably when I was already coaching and we talked about goal setting or talk about, like, and then I was like, there is a gap between your current reality and your goals, and then you need to
Yeah.
fill the gap. So how you fill the gap?
Oh,
And then that was like, okay, then it's the gap filler success. And then I also look why this book actually has two parts, because the first part of the book is talking about my life when I wasn't too spiritual. I didn't know about manifestation or law of attraction. I just followed my strategies, or I followed my way of like, okay, what actions I supposed to take to get there, And then when I was, for example, wanted to go to Mexico for an internship and I was at the university, I was like, how to get closer to that goal. And actually making sure that if that internships comes in, it's mine. So basically I had to position myself to the top of the pyramid, like when it comes in, I am making the decisions, I am getting that, and then I'm gonna be the one who can choose from. So that was one thing, and the second one was basically I also went on Spanish lessons because I didn't speak Spanish. I was like, okay, I want to go to Mexico. And I need to speak Spanish, but there was no Spanish lessons in my department, in the engineering department, only at
okay.
the lawyers. So I went to the lawyers and then I asked permission if I can study their Spanish. So I even agreed with my petroleum department. So I was actually going there for Spanish lessons. So I was going miles, like I was filling the gap
Yeah.
strategically. And then eventually, because I've done so much work for that internship community, eventually they even paid my flight ticket. So it was really amazing. So that's how you fill the gap. Make sure that's my also my 3P method is the positioning, the preparation, and the push. Because the position yourself to the close to the fire, like with the people, and then be the person who needs to choose, and then also the preparation, learning skills or languages or whatever you need to learn to fill the gap, basically to be eligible to get there.
Mhm.
And then also the push. The push is why is it important? Because even though people go through all the preparation, all the positioning,
Yes.
sometimes when the opportunity hit them and like, okay, can you do this? They are like, maybe they get scared a bit, like from the
Yeah.
responsibility, or they doubting themselves. And me, I also, with the Mexican internship, I was also in a started to questioning myself, because at the same time I got a Spanish internship as well. So I was like, should I go to Spain where I know people in that town? I've been in that town. It's
Okay.
familiar, it's safe.
Yeah.
Or should I go to
Yeah.
somewhere which Mexico, which was my dream, but I don't know anybody there in the other side of the world. So it's like, and then a friend came to me and I was actually crying because I couldn't make a decision. And then my friend came in and he was like, well, what's wrong? What's happening? I was like, I don't know what to do. And then he was like, go to Mexico. That's what you always wanted. That's your dream. I was like, yeah, I should go. So then, yeah, I just went there. But that push is really important, that if you had that dream, if you work for it so hard, don't stop at the very end, right?
Oh, I love that. And so is that part of in your book where you talk about the three
Yeah, there is the
steps?
3P. This is a 3P method. Yeah, yeah, it's also in my
Okay.
book. Yeah. So that's the strategic part. And then there is the second part of the book, which is more spiritual. That's for
Mm.
the part of my life when I already started to be more spiritual, believing in manifestation, law of attraction, doing more meditations, and then seeing the bigger picture, seeing that actually you also need to do subconscious reprogramming. You also need to do healing to make sure you manifest faster, and you also need to be aligned with the universe. So that's my
Mm.
5-step method when I'm talking about how you set your intention and how you going into that beliefs, and then the healing and the aligning, and then at the end basically taking action. So that's I realized that it has to be all together, because it's, if one is missing, you won't reach that goal. You know, if you don't set the intention, you don't know where you're going. If you don't have the beliefs, again, you're self-sabotaging yourself. If you don't do the healing, then you're riding on an emotional roller coaster and you're always off track, right? And
Yeah.
then when you don't work with the universe together, then you feel like sometimes there is lots of resistance, like you are still stuck in the energies.
Yeah.
And the fifth is like when you not taking the actions, you just manifesting and dreaming, but you don't take the inspired actions, again, you don't reach your goals. So it has to be all taken care of.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I love too how you're specific in that second part of the book, especially where you talk about the samadhi meditation, and there's a pyramid manifestation meditation. And I like how you give the steps for that. And I know working with you, you could go deeper, of course, because especially that samadhi meditation was interesting to me. And then when you talked about manifestation, and is that the one that where you're diving under the water, where there's a meditation for that? Is that the pyramid? Or is that
I think the diving underwater, it was just a metaphor about how it feels when you
oh
transcend. So
oh yeah.
how it feels when you actually activate the pineal gland and you transcend into the theta or delta brain waves. It's like you're basically, the noise stops in your brain, and then it's just like quiet. Suddenly your brain goes quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that. So I'm going to practice that because I thought that really caught my attention. I pay attention to little signs and little synchronicities too, and so when I get those, it's really important. And so I love how you have bridged science and spirituality together, because I think that that's something that we're hearing more about. But I think that when we do both of those, it provides us with real transformation. Don't you think it's more lasting when you're
Yeah.
doing that? Is that how you feel about it?
Yeah, it's so interesting. Recently I came up with a sentence which says like, you call science magic until you don't believe in it. So there are so many things in life which shows like, people thought that the earth's flat, or people were thinking that fire is magic. So what you can't explain or you don't believe in is you don't call it science for a while, you call it magic. But after you prove it as a science, then you call it science, and then it's like everything you think is magical is actually become science later because people prove it. So, for example, with the Samadhi meditation, these are Adi Yogi Shiva techniques from 60,000 years ago, and they were called the science of consciousness, basically, because we shifting from the conscious mind to the subconscious and the unconscious, and we communicating with the superconscious. So, having that multidimensional existence was always there, and there was this science of consciousness. But now people are proving it through delta brain waves. Now we are adding it together like, okay, when you are in the unconscious mind, basically your brain is in delta brain waves or theta brain waves, and
Yeah.
that's where you need to be. Like, you need to be in theta brain waves to reprogram your subconscious, and then so
Mhm.
on and so forth. So there are people now who's actually using equipments to prove this, measuring these waves in
Yeah.
the brain and stuff. So now they actually say, okay, it's not scientifically proven, but it's always been a science.
Yeah, always. Yeah, always. I know. That's really funny that it is a science. And so, oh, I'm so glad. My goodness, there's so much good stuff in here, and what you offer is amazing. We're going to have your links, but where can people find out more about you?
So my website is edithbkiss.com. So it's my name.com. So you can actually go there to all my social media and also my YouTube channel. And to practice samadhi, you can just tune into my YouTube channel's playlist. So my YouTube channel is Magical Karma Priestess, but the link is at my website. And I have a playlist with different meditations. I have the pyramid manifestation meditation there and also the samadhi. So you can try it out there for free. And if people wants to get closer to me, closer to the fire, then I have a school community in the skool.com, the school.com. I have a school community called Release with Ease. And we have weekly and bi-weekly every second week, and every week we have certain master classes and workshops there. So people can tune in with me, asking me questions, going through meditations and healings with me. And also a classroom full of, other kinds of meditations and workshops and courses. So it's full of
that's good. That's good. And you have a masterclass too, like a 5-series masterclass that we'll link to also. So we'll have all these links in the show notes. And then where can people get your book, The
So
Gap
it's on
Filler Success?
Amazon. Yeah, it's on Amazon, every country. I'm sure about that. So basically you just go to Amazon and then you search for The Gap Filler Success, or you search for my name. I have already 4 books on Amazon. But this is the latest one I'm more excited about. So yes.
Yeah. Yes, and your name is your birth name, not your stage name.
Yes.
Like you said, which I absolutely love. And if somebody is sitting like in the unknown, right? They don't really know what they want to do or what's a good place to start, because a lot of people will start with mindfulness, but you're kind of saying necessarily don't start with mindfulness.
Yeah, I think you need to already go through connection with the divine and going through some healings and being more spiritually attuned before you go into mindfulness. Because only just mindfulness is really requires lots of energy. Because then you need to be always in the conscious mind. And the conscious mind is, you are not, only 5% in the conscious mind. And then there's a reason for that, because your body wants to save energy. So anytime your body knows what to do in a certain situation because done it many times, then you shift into subconscious and to autopilot. So conscious mind, for example, you use it when you do something for the first time, or you're passing an exam, you're focusing, and then you're sweating because you are concentrating and you're using your conscious mind. So it's draining your energy. So being just mindful, it can be very draining or exhausting, because then you need to be always very conscious about what you do and how you react to things. But if you do the healing, if you do the connection with your higher self, and you do healings as well, then it's easier to know what's the right thing to do. And then it's easier. And also you attract good things into your life instead of triggers if you go through the healing. Because basically that's why you're attracting triggers and issues and problems, because you have unresolved traumas.
Yes.
And then also some karma comes in and ancestral things, but that's also can be resolved through meditation. So I have a meditation library in school community where people can tune in and do certain meditations for karma healing and ancestral healing, which could also cause some challenges in life. So it can also smooth out your journey, basically, if you go through those meditations.
Oh, that's really good. And that information to join like the school community is on your website?
Actually not. So I'm just saying that the school.com is, you just go to school, skol.com, and then you look for Release with Ease.
Oh, got it. Release with Ease. All right. We're going to have to make sure we put that.
I mean, I can send you the link to that.
Oh,
and you can
perfect.
put it in the show notes.
Yeah. And then we'll add those to the show notes. And so, oh my gosh, thank you. It has been such a pleasure. And gosh, I just want to say what I love about Edith's story is how she reminds us that healing doesn't have to take a lifetime. When we fill the gap with awareness, forgiveness, and inspired action, peace starts to find us. Now, like she said, if you'd like to learn more about Edith and her work, visit edithbkiss.com. You can connect with her on social media by that name. We're going to have those linked in the show notes. And if this conversation spoke to your heart, please share it with someone who might need that reminder that it's never too late to bridge the space between pain and peace. And until next time, remember that you matter and that you deserve success in every room you walk into. Thank you again, Edith, for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it, would you do me a favor and share this episode and then follow us on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss one episode of the Forgive Yourself podcast, where every Friday you will get tips, tools, and stories so that you can turn your pain into peace. Take care.